In a world that screams for your attention, there's a place that invites you to peace. You don't need a building. You don't need a choir. You just need to turn your heart to Air One.
Air One. Songs that heal. Lyrics that pray for you when you don't have the words.
From Lauren Daigle to Elevation Worship and more.
This isn't just radio. It's worship for the everyday.
Escape the noise and worship now.
Download the Air One app. Ask your smart speaker to play Air One or visit air1.com. Air One. Worship now.
One of these men is a highly respected New York attorney, Lucas A. Ferrara. The other is a self-proclaimed man of the people, known as Mert Roberts. Their aim is to discuss the hottest issues impacting our city, state, and nation. Fasten your seatbelts. Shake it off with Mert and Lucas. Live starts now on AM 970. The Answer.
Interesting, Alex. What's that one called?
Good evening. This is called Lonely Wolf by Argemiro Robles. Did I get that right?
Yep, looks right. It's a lonely planet for many, my friends. And that's why we're diving into a story that's not just in the headlines. It's in the homes, phones, and private lives of millions of Americans. A story about loneliness, Mert, technology, and the strange new relationships forming between humans and machines. It grosses me out. We're talking about the loneliness epidemic, Mert. The U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, put it this way. Quote, loneliness is far more than a bad feeling. It harms both individual and societal health, end quote. And in response to that epidemic, many are turning to AI for companionship. Some call that progress. Some call it dangerous. I call it stupid. But most people don't want to talk about it. But we will. Now, before you comment, Mert, let me throw out some data. Ready? Nearly half of Americans, some 49%, say they feel lonely on a regular basis. Young adults report the highest levels. Close to 60%, Mert, say they feel serious loneliness. Men report deeper emotional isolation, but talk about it far less. Right. I don't know why you find it funny. And social, it's an epidemic, Mert. Come on, be sensitive. And social media, it's gasoline on the fire. You know, right. More use of that your phone, Mert, more loneliness. Okay? Here's some final quotes before you chime in. Okay. Loneliness expert, he's a Dr. John Cacioppo, the pioneer of loneliness science, said loneliness is a biological signal, a warning that something is wrong. And Dr. Julianne Holt-Lundstad's research shows that, and I didn't know this, Mert, till I looked it up, loneliness increases the risk of early death, saying, yeah, it's akin to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Right?
Oh, my goodness.
15 cigarettes a day, Mert. And people are connected to everything except each other. And that is the problem. So I ask you this, Mert. As one disconnected from reality, what say you?
This is comedy right here. This is hilarious. It's very. I'm glad that you brought it up, though. I'm glad that you brought it up.
What part is comedy before people start writing their letter cards and letters to AM 970?
Well, just how arrogant people are. Because if you want to understand the loneliness epidemic, then you also have to understand the technological revolution that we've experienced, and you have to understand the further we get away from working in fields and factories and stuff like that, where we have to be interacting with one another on a constant basis, everybody has their nice little cubicle now. Everybody's separated. A lot of people work from home at certain periods during the week. So technology has forced people, well, I'm not going to say forced, but it has given people an opportunity to work and not have to interact with other people. You interact with your machine. Instead of a phone call, you send an email. You might leave a voicemail. 30 years ago. But you don't have to have somebody on the other side of the phone. You don't have to look somebody in the eye and negotiate a business deal anymore. Everything can be handled through technology. And then people want to complain about their private lives being so lonely. Well, what you do at work, which is a big portion of your waking hours, you're sleeping 8 hours a day, hopefully. You're working another 8. You get home and you're lonely. But that's because the interaction has been replaced in the workplace. At home, it's been replaced because everybody is focused on,
that's right.
Man, I want to watch this TV show.
It's replaced with machines. That's right. And
absolutely.
But why is that? Do you think that's a good thing? Because I'm not sure where you're going with this.
No. It's something that we've dug our own grave, so to speak.
Oh my goodness, you're being fatalistic, huh?
We've chosen this. Listen, we could always go back to the way things were, where we had to interact. You were forced to, do things in person. Working from home, working virtually was out of question. But we're not choosing that because we prefer to do things the easy way. And the easy way is to, I'm going to just work from home. You know what? Instead of getting on the phone, I'm going to just send an email. So it's very hilarious. This is comedy that you would bring this up because people are funny. People are hypocrites, though. But they're funny because they want everything. They want to be good socially, but yet they rely on things like online dating, where you just write a little profile and you can look at a profile instead of having to look a woman in the eyes and sell yourself. You let your profile do it.
You let technology your fake profile or your AI enhanced profile. But Mert, isn't this a bad thing? See, you're right about the I can't even say it, the characterizations. I mean, you're right about the description, but is it a good or bad thing? That's the point.
Well, it's neither.
I think it's bad. I think it's terrible. Because the more we distance ourselves from each other, the more we lose our humanity, right? I mean, look what's happening. I mean, the experts are saying that America's social infrastructure has collapsed. And by that, they mean the places where people used to gather, churches, community centers, bowling alleys, neighborhood clubs, they're shrinking, fading, or they're gone. And when you remove those everyday places, Mert, where people bump into each other, you lose the opportunities for connection. Amen. And when you lose those, Mert, loneliness isn't a personal failing. It's just a predictable outcome. In fact, sociologist Robert Putnam called it bowling alone. Isn't that sad? We're all bowling alone because our social structure is deteriorated to nothingness.
Listen, however you decide to make your money, and I made this point earlier, we use the technology at work. We're leaning on it at work.
Right, but you made the point. We're living alone. We're working alone.
Well, slow down. I'm about to explain further.
Alone,
I'm about to explain it further.
But the point is, Mert, nothing has stepped in to replace that social...
Let me explain my point, because you keep interrupting me. Listen, the trends that we use at work follow us home. We think we're innovative with all this technology and stuff. So if it's working good enough for us in our bank accounts and it's putting money in our pockets, why wouldn't it work at home? Why wouldn't it work when it comes to dating? Why wouldn't it work when it comes to religion? You can go to church virtually now. People do it all the time.
But that's a problem. That's a problem.
No, it's not a problem.
Because you're not interacting. Part of church is speaking, talking to your neighbor, to your fellow congregants.
That's a short-term thinking. It's long-term thinking. Listen, if we're to get off this planet, because Elon Musk is a trillionaire because of this whole thing about going to Mars. See, this is how deep Mert thinks. I don't just look at surface. I go deep. If we are to get off this planet, if we're to go to the moon and build complexes and societies on the moon and Mars, we're going to have to get good at connecting virtually, because that's what it's going to take.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, because I think ultimately, and I think our guest last week, Dr. Zeidelman, said it best, I think we'll be replaced by robots, and you'll have 1 human and 30 robots. It's not going to be that simple. It's not going to be that simple.
You hear what you just said. You just agree with me, because if we're going to be interacting with 30 robots for one person,
that's not humanity.
No. It is humanity, because what you're doing is you're falling into the trap of, I want how it used to be. Humanity has evolved from being
we're talking
simple.
About loneliness.
Listen to me. We have evolved. And loneliness.
So part of that evolution is we're condemned to be lonely? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, you just have to evolve with the times. If you're somebody who's lonely, you need to get like other people. There's a lot of people out there who enjoy how things are now, but you're not speaking of them. You're trying to put how some people feel onto
you're talking
the
about
entirety
the millions
of people.
You're talking about the millions of people who are downloading AI.
I'm not worried about
Millions of
those
people
lonely people.
Are downloading AI companions. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not worried about the people who are lonely. I'm trying to look at the people who are.
I am. Well, that's what this episode is about. The loneliness epidemic, Mert. Let's talk about it. So
that's what we're doing. I'm trying to tell you that I'm not concerned with this fictional loneliness epidemic, because
oh my goodness,
it's fictional. It's not true. People are choosing to be into technology, and if you want to, be friends with your cell phone and your AI companion, and you all of a sudden feel sad, that's on you. That's not an epidemic. That's on you. Go out there and make some real friends. And if you're trying to tell me you can't do that, then I'm just going to say you're not trying hard enough, because there's plenty of opportunities. Go online and look up Eventbrite. They have all kind of opportunities to go out there and meet people, but you have to do it. So a quick Google search can erase a lot of this loneliness. But individuals such as Mr. Ferrara, who I'm speaking to right now, is going to give you an excuse and give you a pass, and you're going to end up prescribing some kind of medication for these individuals.
Look, Mert, you're being insensitive, because all the experts are saying that Gen Z, for example, they're the loneliest generation in recorded history. Gen Z, Mert, these are kids that understand technology. Okay, and are resorting technology, and they feel empty. Technology is destroying us, Mert. This is really my ultimate opinion about this. The loss of our social networks is leading to a deterioration to the point where it's affecting our mental health. And before we continue, I wanted to make a point about the AI downloads. AI companionship apps have exploded, Mert. People going to AI companions. Millions of downloads in the last 18 months. Millions. Users spending hours per day talking to AI friends. And Mert, you're going to love this one. Some apps now offer romantic modes, supportive partner modes, and memory-based companionship. In other words, they're being entrapped by machines, Mert.
Am I supposed to be scared?
You're not worried about that. That's not healthy.
I'm supposed to be scared? Am I supposed to be scared of a cell phone?
I am.
Well, that's because you want to do things like they did it in 1941. Okay? We don't live in the 50s.
Leave it to Beaver and Lassie. Nothing wrong with that.
That's why you're scared. Listen, you have to evolve, and you're somebody who has evolved, because we were just on a Zoom call the other day. So you've adopted to the technology.
Of course.
So
but
it's
I also
easy.
Talk to
Hold
you.
on a second.
I talk to you.
Hold on a second.
I talk to a lot of people. I interact with a lot of people every day.
Look, this is the problem. You see what you're doing right now? You're not trying to have a human interaction. You're treating me like these people treat these AI applications.
Yeah, but you're not acting like an AI application. You're rebellious. I want to turn you off.
No. See,
this is off.
No. See, listen. You got to listen to me sometimes. See, you can't just talk at me. You have to talk with me. This is the problem. A lot of people don't want to have conversations. They want to be in their own echo chamber, and then they isolate themselves.
Healthy, ultimately, Mert. If we're dealing with all these millions of Americans who report to be lonely or seriously lonely, technology is not filling the void, Mert.
You can't make somebody participate And that's what you're basically trying to do. If you don't want to participate, if you want to go digital and virtual and AI, that's on you. I have no sympathy for you if you all of a sudden feel lonely, because you're making that decision. You're making that choice. And there are way more people who are still interacting and enjoying life than to worry about somebody who's having a difficult time meeting friends because they love their cell phone or they love their AI application so much that they just can't get out and meet people. I don't have any sympathy for them people because they're making a choice, and it's freedom of expression, freedom of choice.
But it's going to impact society, Mert, if we have an entire generation that feels lost. It's
what you always have.
It doesn't help us as a society, Mert.
No, it does help us because...
Oh, really?
You're trying to make it seem like it's the entire generation. No, what you have is...
a lot of people. I gave you the stats.
Those stats are bunk. You have a bunch of people... you have a bunch of people who are complaining. Everybody else is just enjoying life. You have people who are complaining, and they're usually the people on these apps who can take these surveys. Everybody else, you can't reach them because they're out in the park, or they're playing basketball, or they're riding bike. They're enjoying the real world, so these little surveys can't even reach them. I've never been offered a survey because I'm not online like that.
No, that's but you haven't got anything in the mail. I've gotten stuff in the mail. You haven't gotten an email. I get loads of surveys. Now, some of them may not be legit, right? But I get
selling
loads
your
of
information.
surveys.
Somebody's selling your information.
Some of it maybe, but I get loads of surveys via email. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you shouldn't be filling that stuff out because it's usually
I don't.
viruses.
But I'm saying,
you see what I'm saying? So
I get
when these studies, listen, when these studies are being conducted, somebody has an ulterior motive, and they're afraid of AI technology. They might be it might be you coming up with these studies. For all I know,
you're saying all these surveys are biased. That's just nonsense. Come on, you can't discount.
Hold on a second.
You can't discount what these companies are doing. These are reputable national companies.
These companies are just like these polls. Like, we've been getting on these polls about how inaccurate they've been. So I'm assuming that these little studies might follow a similar fate as these polls that say, hey, Donald Trump, there's no chance he can win, and then all of a sudden he wins. Okay,
so yeah, that was faulty. That was certainly faulty. There are faulty surveys, there are faulty polls. But
I'm smart enough to make the connection.
Here's what Americans are saying. Ready? Because we're running out of time. 58% believe AI companionship is inevitable. 58%. 41% that said they would consider using an AI companion during a period of loneliness, with 22% of Americans saying they already have. 63% worry that AI relationships could replace human ones. How scary is that? Okay, AI replacing human relationships, Mert. And 71% believe loneliness is a major national crisis. So you, my friend, are in the minority on this one. Now, loneliness is real, despite whatever Mert says. AI companionship is real, and the debate is just beginning. Some say AI is saving people from emotional collapse. Others say it's replacing the very thing that makes us human. Maybe, Mert, the truth is somewhere in the middle. But one thing is certain. We're living through a transformation in how we connect, or fail to connect, with each other. And if we don't talk about it, Mert, we won't understand it, nor will be able to fix it. Amen. Now, here's something that needs no fixing. This is Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas Live. We're truly honored to have you along with us for the ride. And guess what? If you're keeping count, this is episode 105. Come on, would you believe it? And, my friends, it's our anniversary. Today is our 3rd anniversary. Happy anniversary, Mert.
Well, thank you. I didn't know I was supposed to respond there. I thought you were supposed to be reading to the next segment.
Well, I wanted to get to the anniversary stuff because today is my pivotal. Happy anniversary, Alex. What do you think?
Happy anniversary.
Alex is happy.
I'm very happy, and I'm not feeling too lonely tonight with you guys.
There you go. Well, this is Lucas Ferrara. We're ever mindful that without you, we wouldn't have made it this far. So we're grateful. We got some great guests in store for you today. But before we unleash them, you heard from my good friend Mert Roberts. You heard from our producer, engineer Alex Garrett, who has a great podcast, One Leg Up with Alex Garrett. And when we come back, and we got Ermine Santos working Master Control. Thank you, Ermine. When we come back, we have 3 guests in store for you. Reverend Dr. Terrlyn L. Curry Avery. She's written a book, Dismantling Racism. Then we have Pete Najarian. He's a former NFL linebacker, and he's the co-founder of Market Rebellion, big in the financial markets. And we'll end the show with Dr. Lois Frankel. She's a best-selling author of Nice Girls, Don't Get the Corner Office. It's a jam-packed show, so don't you dare drift, don't even blink, shake it off. With all of us, return after these messages. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation is expanding its commitment to the families of America's heroes with the May and George Siller Scholarship Program. The program reflects the values of faith, service, and education that shaped the Siller family. The scholarship supports eligible children pursuing undergraduate degrees, accredited trade schools, or certification programs. The scholarship is available to children from families served through Tunnel to Towers Gold Star, Fallen First Responder, and Smart Home programs. May and George believed education creates opportunity, builds character, and helps young people move forward with purpose. Tunnel to Towers is helping ensure that every hero's child has the support they need to pursue their education, realize their full potential, and carry forward the values that helped shape their families. To learn more about helping America's heroes and the family they leave behind, visit t2t.org and consider donating $11 monthly or donating your car or land.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 55 East 59th Street, New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Air Comfort Shoes in Williston Park, Long Island is having their 4th of July and summer sale. Fabulous summer shoes just arrived, all sizes, widths AA through extra wide and extra extra wide. Their award-winning outdoor collection and largest selection just arrived. Choose from over 70 brands like New Balance, Hoka One, and Brooks Sneakers, Mephisto, Bionic, Echo, Rockport, Merrill, SAS, Ara, Naote, Clark's, Florsheim, Johnston & Murphy, Piccolinos, Monroe, Arttrex, Springstep, and many, many more. All sandals are up to 60% off. Go to aircomfortshoes.com or visit their flagship store at 426 Hillside Avenue in Williston Park, Long Island, just west of Willis Ave. Use coupon code and visit our clearance rack in our website for extra savings. Eric Comfort Shoes, the home of the world's finest footwear.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
When Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860, America stood on the edge of collapse. Over the next 4 years, the Civil War claimed more than 700,000 lives and tested whether our republic could endure. As the war drew to a close, Lincoln looked beyond victory. He looked toward healing. In his second inaugural address, he challenged the nation. Let us strive on to bind up the nation's wounds, to achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace. Lincoln understood that preserving the greatest experiment in self-government required more than winning a war. It required the character to restore what had been broken. More than 160 years later, America still faces division. The question is not whether we'll disagree. The question is whether we still have the wisdom and the character to heal together.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970. The Answer.
Wow, Alex, that's extremely powerful. What is that called?
So powerful. It's called Divine Celestial Rise by Meg Iss.
How fitting, given our next guest, Alex. Our next guest is the Reverend Dr. Terrlyn L. Curry Avery, a pastor, psychologist, and author whose work has become essential reading for anyone trying to understand spiritual resilience, racial healing, and the modern struggle for justice. Behind the sermons, the counseling, and the scholarship, Dr. Curry Avery exposes the inner machinery, the choices, the crises, the breakthroughs that shape how people and communities rebuild. Her latest book, Dismantling Racism, Healing Separation from the Inside Out, reveals the pressure points, the turning points, and the moments when courage and truth-telling matter most. She writes about transformation, consequence, and the lessons we still haven't fully absorbed. And today, she's using her voice to illuminate the past so we can better understand the present and prepare for the future. Reverend Dr. Curry Avery joins us now. Welcome back to the program, Reverend.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, come on. Our listeners demanded your return. And my co-host, the Mertonator, demanded that he start off with questions. So I'm going to throw it to Mert.
You know, Rev, one question I would like you to start with is, why do you feel like integration makes racism worse? Because what I've noticed is the more that the white community embraces the black community, the more hateful I see white people, certain white people. I don't want to, we don't want to condemn all white people, but the racist ones, the more racist and anti-black they become because they feel like we're somehow, some way seeping in and stealing something for them. So why is it that you feel like integration makes things worse?
So I want to start out by first saying I don't necessarily think that integration makes things worse. And from my personal perspective, what I think it does is that for some people it creates fear in them, because what you're talking about when you speak about individuals who are racist, one of the things that they worry about is that when we are integrated, are we taking their jobs? Are we taking their position in corporations? Are we taking their positions in terms of education? So what happens is fear is the thing that moves people. Envy, poverty, scarcity, all of that is what moves people to an act of being racist. And then, quite frankly, people are socialized to be racist. So I think that that's what you're noticing when you say, when we're integrated, it seems to make people feel threatened, is what I would say.
Now, Rev, that was kind of a setup question because, and this is to slightly get away from race, but we can get right back to it in a second. But my co-host is a big chicken when it comes to AI integration. He feels like AI.
Rev, forgive him. He knows not what he does.
AI technology is going to replace us and we're going to lose humanity. Is that similar to how racism operates?
I think that we could make an analogy for that, but I'm not an expert on AI, so I would rather stick to racism, but I do understand the concerns for AI. I have similar concerns for AI. I have concerns in terms of what it does to the environment, and I use AI. So let's just put that out there. I do use AI to my daughter's dismay, but I do think that there's value to AI, but I don't want to use my expertise in healing racism to talk about AI, because I don't feel like that I'm equipped to do that.
Thank you, Reverend, but I do appreciate that. I do think it's a problem, but I don't think it relates to racism at all. Now, you have argued that racism is both a spiritual and structural problem, so why must the two be addressed together? I don't understand, Rev.
Well, if you think about it, so this country is celebrating 250 years, right, of the Declaration of Independence. If we were able to deal with this problem from a political or social perspective, we would have done it already. And I really think that it's a spiritual problem from the perspective of, if you are going to hold me down, white people, let me put, not you personally, but if you are holding me down and you are being racist towards me and you're in a ditch with me to hold me down, it takes something out of you, a spiritual connection from you, in order for you to be so vicious and hateful and so intent on wanting to make my life miserable that you're making your own life miserable. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I do, and I don't think I mentioned this on the last show, I actually take white people to Ghana in an effort to show them the history of the slave trade. And the last time I went, one of the individuals said, the gift of my ancestors was to disconnect me from spirit. And what she found when she got there and she was able to study history and see the inhumane treatment of the African people, she said, I found spirit again. Now, obviously, that was with me doing some work with the group as well, is that she felt like she was disconnected, from spirit before going there and being able to see how we as a people were treated and prevailed. And so it is a spiritual problem when you can treat other people in ways that does not recognize their humanity or their divinity.
Wow, that's very powerful. Now, you see people resisting the idea that racism is a soul issue. What does that mean, a soul issue?
Because, again, if you look at me and you only see this outside shell, you only see the color of my skin, and you are reacting to that versus looking at me and seeing me as an individual, seeing my eyes, seeing that I bleed just like you bleed, and you only can see me as like the dirt on the bottom of your feet, then your soul is broken in the inside, because you can't see the other person, the God in the other person, right? Because I believe that if we were to look at each individual as having just a little bit of God in them, we wouldn't treat them the way that we do.
Oh, amen, Doc. What do you think, Mert?
Well, you know what? That's a very interesting point, because I was going to ask, how did spiritual people use religion to justify their racism? Because you would think...
Oh, yes.
You would think that that
and Rev, we have a minute before we go to commercial.
That's
of course,
why
you're coming back.
Wait until after the break.
But why don't you finish your thought? Let the doc. Why don't you finish your question then, or thought? Go ahead, Bert.
Yeah. So after the break, you can really go into it, because I was just thinking, the spiritual aspect of religion, and we're supposed to uplift one another, but then these same spiritual people, or these people who you will see them in church every Sunday, they will view people of other races as dirt on the bottom of their feet, as you put it, Rev. So it was always something that stuck in the back of my mind. How did a country built upon Christianity take upon this mentality that black people were less than? So you can start now, and you can really get into it after the break. But that's
if you want to talk for about 10 seconds, Reverend, and then we'll get you back after the break. Go ahead, Rev.
Well, I'll just say this: the Bible was used to justify slavery. we only have 10 seconds, so we can leave it at that, and we could talk about how that's
and of course, that was wrongful. But we'll talk more about that after the break. Forever, we have to take a quick break. But folks, have no fear. When we return, Dr. Terrlyn L. Curry Avery will return. For more information about the Reverend and her work, visit her website, sacredintelligence.com. You'll find her latest book, Dismantling Racism, Healing Separation from the Inside Out, on Amazon and wherever books are sold. We'll have links on shakeitofflive.com. Stay tuned, stay ready, because her return won't be quiet.
Everything old is new again on Nostalgia Tonight with Joe Sibilia. Join Joe as he celebrates the people, places, and phenomena that shaped popular culture. Sunday nights at 10 on AM 970, The Answer.
Like AM 970, The Answer? Then don't forget to like us on Facebook. Interact with us. Share your thoughts about your favorite shows. Give feedback to our hosts. Share your opinion on hot topics. Learn about events and more. AM970theanswer.com.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround, and when it comes to marketing, consider us your personal move you forward company. In a recent study, we found that 53% of local businesses were classified as novices when it came to designing, implementing, and managing their marketing needs. And that's where Salem Surround truly shines. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be. Let us give you an absolutely free audit of your current marketing and what your competition is doing. Our digital sales and support teams are the best in the industry and deliver customized personal service that's second to none.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, Google Salem Surround New York right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Google Salem Surround New York today.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. What happens when the left plucks a working-class man from obscurity and pushes him for high office? In an era of democratic desperation, mainstream media creates narratives to protect him, even at the expense of their own stated values. Graham Plattner's rise and fall stains all the institutions of the left. Democrats and the media tried to bury or downplay Plattner's checkered past, including his Nazi SS tattoo, his record of disturbing public comments, and his moral depravity. Don't be fooled by the sudden shift in media coverage. Everything that outlets like Axios and the New York Times reports as news today had been reported weeks and months ago by independent media. The Times cooked its own report in early June to protect Plattner. Every elite media outlet perpetuated the working-class lie about a man who lives off his wealthy parents. The insistence by Democrats and the media to make excuses for Plattner exposes the corruption of both. The Nazi tattoo told us all we needed to know. I'm Ed Morrissey.
Town Hall News, where conservative voices cut through the noise from breaking headlines to fearless opinion. We report what matters without apology. Written by people who actually believe what you believe. Town Hall tells the stories the corporate press buries, from President Trump to Capitol Hill, from pivotal elections to your everyday lives. Join the movement at townhall.com. Real stories, real reporters, real conservative media.
Want to listen to AM 970 The Answer on the go? There's an app for that. Download our free smartphone app so you can listen to all your favorite shows, keep up with us on social media, enter contests, win prizes, and even interact with our hosts, all in one place. Just search AM 970 The Answer in the iPhone App Store or the Google Play Store for the Android. Again, search AM 970 The Answer and download our smartphone app today. That way, you can take us wherever you go.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Oh, I love that music, Alex. We are back with Reverend Dr. Terrlyn L. Curry Avery, whose work brings clarity and urgency to the moments that shape us, from crisis to renewal, from injustice to transformation. For more about the Reverend and her work, including her upcoming trip to Ghana, she's got a VIP trip to Ghana scheduled for November, according to what I've heard. Please visit sacredintelligence.com. You'll find her book, Dismantling Racism, Healing Separation from the Inside Out, on Amazon and wherever books are sold. And we'll have the links posted on our website, shakeitofflive.com. Let's pick up where we left off. Mert, do you want to follow up, please?
Well, yeah, just for the audience, I was asking the Rev, how has religion been used to promote and propagate racism in this country? Because that's where you've seen it justified and made people who are white believe that it was okay. So, Rev, can you speak on that?
I can, and actually it goes all the way back really to the slave trade. And I'm using the word slave trade even though I think people were enslaved and were not slaves. So I just want to be clear about that. But one of the things that we see even when we take our trips to Ghana and we go inside the slave castles, people were down below, wall to wall, not being fed, treated horribly. I won't go into all the details, while people were upstairs in the cool air having church. This was Christianity. And so we know from the period of enslavement, folks would use Genesis, where the curse of Ham, you all may have heard of that, when Noah got drunk, he cursed Canaan and he cursed Ham, and said that we would be enslaved. And so people have used that verse. They've also used Ephesians, where Paul talks about servants, obey your masters. And so what it does is people can use the Bible to justify anything that they want to. So we were darker skinned people, and they felt like this is justifying enslaving us. That's one thing. But the second thing is there was something called the Slave Bible. You all may have heard of that, where they only allowed readings for the enslaved people to be about obeying your master, And so in their minds, we've all heard of cognitive dissonance. You can justify your treatment by saying, this is God's will. So now we look and see in this day and age, in 2026, we see white Christian nationalists who can justify the things that are happening in this country and say that they are following in the footsteps of Jesus, when we know that Jesus was a radical, revolutionary individual, right? And so people get to decide whether they are going to have a false belief or they're going to ask questions and say something is not right about this. So that's how religion has been used to harm us in the past and in 2026.
Wow, scary. It's scary, Rev. So how do you break out of that cycle? For example, if you happen to be part of a ministry that's advocating this stuff, that it sounds uncomfortable to me. It sounds wrong.
It's absolutely wrong, but one of the things that happens, I think, with us in terms of religion is that we don't ask enough questions. We just sit and we will listen to the person who is leading the congregation, and we want to be told what to do. I'm very grateful that I grew up in a denomination where I could ask 101 questions, and there are certain things that I will say, I just don't believe that that's what God said or what God meant. And I have to understand that the Bible, while it might be inspired, it still has human error to it. And so if we see one another as divinely created human beings, then we would know that God does not want any of God's children to be hurt.
Now, Rev, speaking of God's children, I kind of view us in this whole situation, like in terms of racism, is how do you, and this is an analogy I'm going to use, how do you teach one group of children to look out for another group of children when this group of children are still feeling like, hey, somebody should be looking out for me. I'm a child too. That's the best way I can put it, because I'm trying to get into the mind of a white person who's like, wait a minute, I'm on social, I'm struggling, I'm on SSI, or I'm struggling, I need benefits, food stamps and stuff like that. Why should I be concerned about black people and how bad they have it? So how do you convince? All right, go ahead, Rev. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And one of the ways that we convince people to look out for one another is we need to understand that we're all interconnected. Right. When you hurt, I hurt, and vice versa. And I think what happens in this country, we have a scarcity mentality. And if we can help folks to understand, if you, for instance, if you can dig underneath your fears and your anxiety and being scared and advocate for me, then you will understand that you will win in the end. If we take something like the civil rights movement, what few people understand is that, I will say few white people understand, because I think as people of color and black people, we get this. The civil rights movement was not just for black people. When we won on some things, it actually helped other individuals as well. And so we've seen groups like women's groups, we've seen LGBTQIA groups, Latin groups, many, many groups. Because we won some liberties, they also were able to get those same liberties. And if you know the history of the civil rights movement, it was always about all people, not just black people.
Wow. Doc, if a listener wants to start dismantling racism in their own life, what's the first step that they have to take?
The first step I would invite people to take is to start paying attention to your surroundings. Start becoming conscious about race. Because when I was on the last time, you said some people are like, oh, are we talking about racism again? Why are we still talking about it? If people want to know why we're still talking about it, it's very, very easy to see where racism exists. If you just open your eyes and you look at things like young black men being stopped because they're walking down the street with a coat on or a hoodie on. If you look at the differences between who gets a loan and who doesn't get a loan, how they're treated by the medical system, all you have to do is open your eyes and the evidence is there. And you ask yourself questions. If that were me in that situation, would I be treated the same way? And we're not making this stuff up, even though people think that we're making it up. And so one of the things that I do when I teach a course on, it's called the ABCs of Racism, I talk about looking at becoming aware, okay? Becoming aware of what's around you, and then examining your beliefs. What do you truly believe about people of color or about black people in particular? Because I always like to speak from the my perspective, which is as a black woman.
Wow. Well, I mean, I'm contemplating your powerful words, Reverend. What role does forgiveness play, and what role does accountability play in racial healing?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because one of the things that I find that people want people of color to do is to rush to forgiveness. And I believe that forgiveness is important, because when you don't forgive, you actually are hurting yourself more than you're hurting the other person. And so you might experience bitterness, frustration, depression, sadness, all of those things, right? And so it is important for us to work on not becoming our enemy. But I do believe that forgiveness requires accountability. I think I may have mentioned this on the last show, but my church was actually burned down in a hate crime.
No way. I don't remember that. I don't remember that, Reverend.
Yes. So, and we just moved back in November after 5 years. This person is, he's in jail, in prison, but he has not gone to trial yet. Now, whether I forgive him from burning the church down or not, it does not mean that I don't think that he should be held accountable. Because forgiveness, whether it's about racism or anything else, it should be a process. We don't have to be so quick to do that. Because when we say, oh, I forgive you, you don't allow that other person the room and the space that they need to work on themselves in order to even receive that forgiveness in the correct way. Because they need to do some work as well.
So they need to suffer the consequences, basically?
Oh, absolutely. You know, when you burn a church down and you have imposed trauma on the people who attend that church, you've caused over $2.5 million damage.
Oh, my
goodness. You had to be out of the church. Like, all of this, you have to pay consequences for that. You know, it's just like in life. We can decide, let's say that, let's say we were a drug addict at one point in our lives, and then we got clean. Well, you might suffer the consequences of having some health-related issues from being a drug addict, but yet you're clean. So you're God forgives you for anything you might have done during that time, but there are consequences for our behavior. So I think forgiveness is the same way. You should be held accountable.
I like it. What do you think, Bert? I love it. You can forgive and still be held accountable. I did. Reverend, we did not know about the church burning down. Very sorry about that.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I also understand that it's very difficult for people to do both of those at the same time. So it's important for somebody like the Rev to help walk them through that process, because that's what I meant earlier when I said, how do you teach children how to be, responsible for other children? And that's the difficulty right there, when you feel like you're still going through something and you're still on your own journey, and then all of a sudden you have to look out for somebody else's journey, and that could be difficult for a lot of people.
Hey, Reverend,
it absolutely can, but I'm glad you said children, because children do it much better than adults.
Absolutely.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah, Reverend, we only have about a minute. After dismantling racism, what's next? What work still calls to you?
Well, I think I'll be doing this for quite a while, but right now I'm just really, as we speak, I'm away for a social justice conference, so I'm very immersed in doing this and continuing to take people to Ghana, because I do believe that we can heal from racism.
You have an upcoming journey, right? November, I'm reading, this coming November.
Absolutely, I do.
And people can find out more about the Reverend and her work, including her upcoming pilgrimage to Ghana, on this website. So check it out, sacredintelligence.com. That's sacredintelligence.com. You'll find her book, Dismantling Racism, Healing Separation from the Inside Out, on Amazon and wherever books are sold. And we'll have links posted on our website, shakeitofflive.com. Reverend, would you believe we've run out of time?
I enjoyed being here. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure, and we have to have you back again to continue this discussion. Thanks for coming on the program, Reverend. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you.
Next up, Pete Najarian. He's a former NFL linebacker, market analyst, and co-founder of Market Rebellion. He's one of the world's most provocative thinkers on options trading, market psychology, and the future of financial independence. He argues that disciplined strategy not not emotion, will drive the next generation of investors. So it's important, no, more than important, it's imperative that you come back after the news at the top of the hour, suffer through a few commercial messages, but once that's done, Mert, Alex, I, along with the rest of the AM 970 team, will be waiting right here for you. We know you want it. We know you do. So please come back. Hour 2. Shake it off with me, Mert, Lucas, live. More after these messages.
The preceding hour of programming, sponsored by Shake It Off Live.
In a world that screams for your attention, there is a place that invites you to peace. You don't need a building. You don't need a choir. You just need to turn your heart to Air One.
Air One, songs that heal, lyrics that pray for you when you don't have the words.
From Lauren Daigle to Elevation Worship and more.
This isn't just radio. It's worship for the everyday.
Escape the noise and worship now.
Download the Air One app. Ask your smart speaker to play Air One or visit air1.com. Air One, worship now.